So, thank you, Data Science Conference. This is my second time, and I think that this is very high quality program. I wish there were not so many parallel sessions because I want to attend all of them. Having said that, coming to the talk, will an LLM replace me? I started thinking about it because last year in 2023, I was sitting in AMLD, Applied Machine Learning Days. It's a yearly conference at EPFL Lausanne. I live near Lausanne. I work in Switzerland. And there was a talk about how LLMs, so what impact LLMs are going to have on different jobs. And obviously, so this is March 2023, and the person was talking about, well, creators, writers, illustrators, that would be the obvious candidates. But even for jobs like legal attorneys, LLMs were potentially going to have a huge impact. So I started thinking, how is it going to impact my job? Because I work in data, and my work is completely digitalized. So just to put it in context, there are 3 conversations in my head that shaped my reflection about this topic. One is the ongoing conversation that Gen AI tools are becoming smarter. This is quite scary, so the newest model is probably more intelligent than me. The other conversation is about the talent gap in data and analytics kinds of jobs. I recruit, and I feel it. It is becoming harder and harder to find people who have a skill set and a mindset that is required for this job. And then the third conversation is about whether the Gen AI development is having the right focus. This famous tweet by now that made rounds on LinkedIn is wondering whether the AI should do mundane tasks like laundry and dishes so that I can do my creative job. And I have a personal stake in all of these 3 conversations. One, because I'm a mom of 2 toddlers, 2 and 3 years old, so I have a lot of work to do, and I would really like if AI could just fold my laundry, for example. And the other stake I have is through my job. So I am head of operations at Argusa. We are a consulting company in Switzerland, and we consult on data topics. So my role has 2 facets to it. One, as a consultant, I help companies to make the most out of their data by helping them make better decisions, streamline their processes, and improve their bottom line. And the other part of my role is actually recruiting. And a good part of my job in both these aspects is to balance the equation of time and quality, because there's a lot of work to be done, and there has to be work done with a certain quality. And I wonder, how could Gen AI help? So, to drive a bit my reflection, I'm going to share with you a story, again, from 2023. So remember, in March 2023, I was sitting in this conference, and then in July 2023, I just finished a project with a client. I delivered some dashboards. I was quite happy with my work. But in August 2023, they sent an email that the dashboard was broken. This is typical, like they don't tell you what the problem is, they just say it doesn't work. Anyway, went in. Of course, this is fictitious data, but you get the picture. There was a very nice dashboard with numbers and plots, and there was a problem in red. For 2024, all the data seems to be, sorry, for 2023, all the data seems to be 0. But obviously, the company continued selling stuff, so this could not be true. Well, I started my investigation, and here were the steps of my investigation. This is, they had an e-commerce platform, and the data from the e-commerce platform was coming on CSV files on a dedicated network drive. There was some kind of data consolidation and modeling process, and then this data was being fed into reports and dashboards, and one of those reports was the one I created. Well, what happened in August is that they changed their e-commerce platform, and the new files from this platform arrived in August. So basically, the problem was this. They went from this to this. All right, easy peasy. I fixed it. But the business said, no, there's a problem. We do not expect this figure for the year-over-year profit. It does not match with other indicators that we might have, so you really need to look at it. All right, I continue. After many drill-down analyses on different dimensions like the client type, the demographic, the satisfaction, I found actually the relevant dimension to drill on, and the dimension was the category of the product. So for this particular category of products, they were selling a lot, but they were not profitable. So the profit share of this category was minimal. All right, I thought I found it. But talking to the business, I realized that between 2022 and 2023, the composition of products within this category changed. So now, my job was to find the right subset of products to compare between the 2 years. I work again, and my final conclusion is coming to this slide. So recap. The problem was the year-over-year profitability was low for this product category, whereas the sales performance was fine. So I found another dimension in which to look, which is just look at the top 5 selling products of this category. And this is where I found my culprit. So I found that there was actually a problem with one of the top 5 selling products. Due to some logistic reasons, in 2023, this product became highly unprofitable to sell. Obviously, I will not share exactly why. This was the problem that the business had to solve. But what I learned from this story is, what do I do in an analysis process? What I do is what I try to summarize here. I start with a problem, the business email saying the dashboard is broken. All right. But then I do a lot of debugging and actually find a bug in the data processing steps. There's actually nothing wrong with the analytics that I provided. Well, then I actually found the real problem, which was the profitability problem. I do more exploratory analyses, a lot of meetings with the business, and so on and so forth, and I find the relevant category to drill down into. And then I provide them with some final analytics on which they can take some decisions and remedy the situation, and this is what brings the business value. So you see the timeline. They sent me an email in August, and I managed to deliver the final analysis to them in November. So basically, it took me 14 weeks. I involved maybe 12 business stakeholders in this whole process, and also 5 developers on the business side, and of course, myself. So altogether, it's 12 plus 6 people involved over 14 weeks to find out the problem and provide analytical solution to the business. I actually looked at my emails. And during this period, I participated in about 120 emails. I participated in about 22 Jira tickets. I don't know how many comments I made, but this is the number of the tickets. Countless chats and Slack messages, which I cannot even quantify, and according to my Outlook calendar, about 20 hours of meetings, but these are formal meetings, and every meeting ran over, so it's probably 40 hours. So this was 2023. This year, I said, well, this is March, I delivered a project. April, the business sends me an email, the dashboard doesn't work. But I said I will use GenAI. So I go to the business and I repeat a version of the analysis process that I just explained to you. So I will not explain you the process, but let's go over the timeline quickly. So the business sent me an email, the dashboard is broken. That is symptom 1. I actually dug into it and found that there was another problem. I fixed the other problem, and then we find the real problem. I dig more into it, do various analyses because we don't know where the problem lies, identify the real culprit, provide analytics to the business so that they can actually take action to correct the course of the business. So if you look at the timeline, so before going to the timeline, I want to comment where I could use GenAI. And actually, it was super helpful in the debugging steps and the final analysis steps where I had to provide some documentation. GenAI is obviously good at writing documentation. It can spin up really nicely written text from a few scribbles that I provided. It was also very useful in the exploratory analysis part, where I was doing a lot of meetings. And it turns out that these kinds of assistants are also very good at summarizing meeting notes. So a real value added on these fronts from the AI. But if you look at the timeline, we're still looking at 14 weeks. We are involving a lot of business stakeholders, 5 developers on their side, and myself, and basically history repeats itself. So my conclusion was that, yes, I could get some value out of GenAI on specific steps of the data analysis process. And I wanted to see, was this feeling widespread amongst other consultants at my company. So we actually conducted a proper survey. We had an intern who conducted this survey. And the sample consists of 11 consultants, excluding me and the intern and the CEO. So these, my colleagues gave feedback on around 40 projects altogether. And the main kind of themes of the questions were to try to quantify what kind of work we do, qualify what are the most tedious and time-consuming tasks, and quantify in which kind of work can we find automation or augmentation opportunities with GenAI. So I'm going to share 3 observations that we found from this survey. One is, well, as I said, we deliver analytical insights to our clients, so essentially dashboards. But they represent a very small amount of time that we spend at our client. Actually, more than half of our time is spent on what is this light gray area, which I have labeled DevOps and Analytics Ops. And it also has a lot of data engineering baked into it, because client data doesn't always come perfect. So if you can see, creating the viz takes less than a quarter of my time. It's the rest of the job. The second observation that we had is that, luckily, what activities that are perceived as tedious also have good potential to be automated by or enhanced by AI. So here you can see activities plotted on tediousness. So on the right, the activity is perceived to be more tedious. And from bottom to up, the activity is perceived to be impacted by GenAI if we can use GenAI in that activity. So architectural and design activities, well, of course, they are not tedious. They are creative endeavors. And of course, they have very small potential to be benefited by GenAI, because you really need a lot of human input. Whereas documentation, so inside project management, there's also documentation, stakeholder management, writing notes of the meetings, and so on. It has a very high potential of being automatized or enhanced, and is also perceived to be tedious. And the third observation is that the heterogeneity of software and systems is perceived to be a break in the adoption of GenAI. So here you can see we asked them, what do you think is the difficulty in implementing GenAI in your workflow today? And they cited various things. Software heterogeneity came to be the biggest culprit, but also project diversity, task complexity, and data flow variability. Some people argued that if you could actually break down the task in small enough pieces, you could actually automate it, but then the work of breaking down the task would already take your time. So we did not see a lot of value in trying to see if we could break down our tasks. So as I said, we are a consulting company. We go to a client to solve their analytics problem. How, at what level can we seek solutions from GenAI or any other type of algorithm? So we thought there are many levels at which we could think we could ask help to GenAI. One, the lowest level would be, all right, I'm going to just do a personal LLM. Well, it has significant privacy concerns. I cannot just deploy anything at a client. But the pro is that I can really make it tailor-made for the client if I have the right to do it, and I can supply it with the client data, and it will be extremely efficient. Another solution, a bit higher level, would be to use already made chatbots. Here, yeah, Accessibility and straightforwardness of use, yes, they are quite versatile as well. Significant privacy concerns. I do not know of any company that would allow me to, paste their SharePoint into ChatGPT. Then we could say, okay, we go a bit up and we try to use AI assistants that are kind of integrated in the workflow. So here I have a coding copilot, Grammarly to be integrated into anything where you write text. It can just come up and help you write better and more polished text. Fathom is a note taker, so it can sit in meetings for you and try to take notes for you. The pros of these kind of solutions are they are task integrated, so they appear where you do the task. So they as opposed to open the ChatGPT, you don't have to go back and forth between ChatGPT to copy. They appear where you do the task. They are quite easily deployable and modular. The cons are that, well, there are huge privacy concerns. Again, if I let Fathom sit in my meetings with my clients, are the clients going to be happy about it? I'm not sure. And some products are quite gimmicky. For example, Fathom and other meeting assistants, they don't do very well if you are sitting across a team member. It thinks that you're the same person, and then it makes a lot of mistakes in the interpretation of what you're saying. And also does not really work well with French, which is the language in which I work daily. And then the highest level would be like software integrated copilots. So they are really LLMs and other technologies that are implemented really by the tool itself. So for example, if we are working with Snowflake, has a lot of LLM capability already. Einstein for Tableau or Copilot for Microsoft products, well, the pros are huge. They are totally integrated in the software. There are no privacy concerns because the client has already bought this software. The cons are that, again, some of the functionalities are quite gimmicky. They don't really bring a lot of value. And also, we as consultants, as external consultants, are dependent on when and how these copilots are implemented by the software vendor. So we try to use whatever we can in a client situation. And what I see as future perspectives for data and analytics are, I think there are two ways in which it could go. We see that already in code-based solutions, GenAI has a huge advantage. Like the copilots can create documentation for you, standardize your code. It really, really simplifies your life. On the other hand, for graphical user interface type solutions, I work a lot with Tableau and Power BI. There's no GenAI that would, drag and drop stuff for me. Or if I have made a mistake with the font, there's no GenAI that will go into every dashboard and change the font for me. So in these kind of solutions, the impact of GenAI is a bit limited. So where could it go is, a possible evolution is we have more and more code-based analytics solutions. Instead of, dragging and dropping a Tableau, you would do code-based, and then you can get help from GenAI and all the copilots. Another possible evolution could be a better integration of systems and standardization of data schemas, and therefore a standardization of analytics. So if you develop one dashboard at one company for HR, then you could easily transport it to another company for HR purposes because the schema has been standardized, because the tools have been standardized. Will that happen? I don't know. But for me, as a consultant, as someone who provides analytical insights to my clients every day, I think that GenAI has great potential of enhancing my workflow as an analyst and as a consultant, especially with coding copilots, helping with documentation, and helping with meeting notes and summaries. It has quite limited potential for architectural and design kind of tasks, which makes sense, and also for DevOps and data engineering kind of tasks, which also makes sense because of the heterogeneity of the sources that are involved, and it would take so much time to break it down to the GenAI. So I will come back to the question that I asked myself in March 2023. Will an LLM replace me? From my experience, I have been working in analytics for 10 years. It is a people's business as much as a technical endeavor. Most of the business knowledge is spread across many business units and many people. A great deal of my work is actually to bring the relevant people in the same room. This is half my work done. And then there's always the question of, can the client actually describe what he wants? So I think, for the moment, an LLM will not replace me. I have 3 tips to finish my talk. I think that these are the skills for any analytics professional to have today. One is communication. As I said, half of my job is to actually to talk to business people and understand what they need. Not only understand what they need, but provide what generates value, because sometimes they think they need something, but it will generate 0 value. This is a thin line to walk, but I think it is a huge advantage if you can actually communicate with the client and get these words out of them. Create good documentation. I have this criticism from many clients. They think that we as consultants, we come, we do the job, and then we leave, and we leave them dependent on us because we don't create documentation. Half of this is true, half of this is not. But I think to give confidence to the customer that you're a good analytics professional, you have to tell them that you don't want them to be dependent on them. You want them to be independent. And this is why you should leave relevant documentation. Know when to leave it to an LLM, but also know when you actually need, as a human, to write it, because this is what will generate value for the reader. And the last, and I think the most important part, is data engineering. I think there are a lot of data analysts who are stuck in the drag-and-drop world of creating dashboards. I think that these kinds of tools, they are becoming smarter every day. There will be a lot of automation there. And I think the analysts who will survive for the next level are the ones who have a very good grasp of how the data is generated behind the scenes and how to model it if the need be. So these are the top 3 skills that I think we should have so that the LLM does not replace us in the next 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope we have some questions after this talk. Or not so many. Let's try again. Yes, we have one question here.
Hello. Thank you. Very interesting topic. I wonder, do you get asked by the clients how to measure the return on investment if they implement some tool or another, and how do you approach this?
Yes, this is almost always a question. Honestly, it is not an exact science, because depending on the tool or whatever solution you're talking about, the timescales are such that the rules of the game change. So if I can implement it in 3 months, the value that I calculated 3 months before is not the same. So usually, again, I remain in the analytics space. I don't change their mother systems, the systems that do the business. I talk to them about the analytical systems. Usually, we do benchmarking, internal, and also talking a bit about our experience with other clients. To say, similar organization in terms of number of people, in terms of analytical users, because if in an organization you have 500 people using analytics and 3,000 people using analytics, it's a different type of organization. So based on a few dimensions and the clients that we have seen, we can give them an estimate of the ROI that they can get.
No more questions. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Here's a little sign of gratitude from the organizers. Thank you.